we're live.
Good. All right. So one of the questions is commonly about how we get sphenopalatine artery into the nasal cavity. And if we look at a skull, maybe I'll flip it over so you get perspective. And we're coming at that remember we have a maxillary artery coming in. We're going to go into a maxillary fissure to the pterygopalatine fossa. And deep within that fossa, you can usually stick a wire right through a hole that goes into the nasal cavity. That would be the sphenopalatine foramen. Okay? And if I bring this around here, we can see this pipe cleaner going through the base of the pterygoid process into the nasal cavity. Okay? So that's our access into the nasal cavity for nasopalatine nerve, sphenopalatine artery. Okay? Now one of the things is at this access point is where the pterygopalatine ganglion exists, right? And one of our descending branches of that pterygopalatine ganglion is a descending palatine nerve. Okay, so descending. Oh, shit! I just screwed it. Greater palatine nerve. I'm sorry. And so greater palatine nerve is going to come out of the hard palate down here, right? So what we can actually do is if I push this wire up the palatine canal, we can see where it comes out up here in that pterygopalatine fossa. Okay?
Yep, see it.
All right. So the issue here is as we come into this pterygopalatine fossa, we have access down the canal to the hard palate. Okay? We would have that true of nerves and arteries. Descending palatine artery, greater palatine nerve, lesser palatine nerve to another hole. And what's going to happen with the artery system is it comes forward, goes through the incisive canal, goes up the incisive canal, okay? But the other piece that we had was the sphenopalatine artery that came in through that foramen, okay? Maybe use the other side of this because it's got color. We're making our way to the vomer, and where does the sphenopalatine artery run? It runs on the hard palate, or the septum, right? On the bony septum. So if we could follow from that vomer down the septum to this incisive canal, from the maxillary artery, we've made a full loop around. So from all these pieces, we actually have access through the pterygopalatine fossa, down the palatine canal, in through the sphenopalatine foramen, into the nasal cavity, and then we link along the hard palate to the nasal septum through the incisive canal. Okay? So all this is predicated upon people understanding the position of the palatine bone. Okay, the palatine bone, we have a horizontal plate. We have a perpendicular plate up inside the nasal cavity, which is fused to the medial plate of the pterygoid. So if we want to kind of draw things back together, why is pterygomaxillary fissure is the gap between the maxilla and the pterygoid process. If we go inside there, we are in the pterygopalatine fossa. Pterygopalatine fossa, let me put that back there, I could actually see it. We're between the medial plate of the pterygoid and the perpendicular plate of the palatine bone. Thus the namings. A lot of that naming gets overlooked. It's all combo names of where we're in between these different bone pieces that lead us to different foramina, different canals that give us access. Okay? The other thing we could add to that is things like coming inside and doing foramen rotundum, coming through that sphenoid bone forward. And then all of a sudden we look at the pterygopalatine fossa and we can see that that rotundum has access into there. Okay? Let's stop there.